you may go through life and on the outside, your front stage, so to speak, everybody at you will say, hey, what does he or she have to be upset about? Why do they have the perfect life? They have their family, they have the kids, they have this, but understand that behind the scenes, there may be some desperation because the wealth wheel and the aspects of their wealth is not balanced out. And so they may feel something's off, but they may not know how to put their finger on what is it exactly that's off in their life. So when you look at the wealth wheel, what it does is gives you a measure in those different areas of your life, and you can measure, hey, how well am I doing in my spirituality? How well am I doing in my health? How well am I doing in my education? And things that allow me to connect with others. It's not just simply just making money. And so when you get that balanced out, you understand the biggest commodity that we can have is the wealth of time. And you understand how important your time is. And so when you give it, you won't give it so frivolously. So today we're talking about wealth of health. And why I bring this up as such an important thing is that sometimes we don't pay attention to our health until we've lost it. As in my case, I was a guy who was about 30, 40 pounds overweight. I would eat a ton of sugar and I would just get through the day, just kind of dragging ass through the day. And I realized once I had cancer, I couldn't do that anymore. I realized that I need to be a little bit more cognizant of what I'm putting and what am I ingesting in my body. And one of the things that I started to realize is that gut health is very, very important because that's how you digest things, that's how you interpret things, that's how you're able to metabolize your food. This is very important to getting this done. When we're talking about wealth of health, we're talking about the different things to help, including your gut. We're talking about the different things that help you to be able to better metabolize. So one of the things you gotta look at is the type of food that you're gonna put in your body, right? You're gonna look at what are you doing to help your body so that way it doesn't get so taxed in terms of the types of food you're eating, but also that it doesn't use so much energy and you're getting the most out of it. So one of the things that I do is I like to improve my gut health. And one of the things that you can do is get probiotics. Probiotics is just bacteria that helps you digest your food. And it's actually good bacteria. You want this in your body. And so you could take pill format. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. The other way that you want to be able to do it is what I like to do is I take some kombucha. And kombucha is just basically some probiotics in there and I drink it regularly. And so I take the kombucha and I drink it regularly to help me with my gut health. What does that do? That allows me and that helps me to be able to not only digest the food with a lot of ease, but digest it a lot more faster. So these are different things that I use with different ways in terms of keeping my gut health is probiotics. Kombucha is a sample of this, or you can take the pill. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have at least, I think that they do it 2 parts per billion. So meaning that you have 2 billion bacteria in the pill, so that way you're able to have the most amount in your body. So besides gut health, one of the other things that I found in my life that opens up so many things, not only on the physical part of life, but also the spiritual part of life, is fasting. You don't have to be a maverick and do like fasting like I did for 56 days. However, the longer that you're able to attain that fasting, the more sort of enlightenment you're gonna get. What I mean by that is this: you're gonna understand how your body operates. You're gonna understand how really cravings and those signs to eat and actually how it can affect your emotions is actually a way that your body's telling you that it's addicted. And a lot of times not only addicted to food, but also really addicted to sugars. So especially if you have a high sugar diet, whether you're eating a lot of fruits or you're putting a lot of sugar in your coffee or you're having a lot of carbohydrates and breads, when you have all these sugars in your body and you start to fast, you will see a huge especially an emotional shift where you may be a little bit more cranky, a little bit more angry, and that's just part of the process as your body starts relieving itself from the addiction of sugars. And so fasting is one of the key places where you can actually get this, where you just pretty much, there's different types of fasting. Some people do intermittent fasting. Some people do long fasting, some people do water fasting, some people do juice fasting. You just got to figure out the type of fasting that's best for you. When I started fasting, what I would do is I made sure I had a nutritionist, and the nutritionist, I told him, these are my goals. I want to be able to clean my blood. I want to be able to have some sort of spiritual connection and enlightenment. And I want to be able to kind of get rid of all the toxins in my body. So what she did was she helped me out, and she put a nutritional package of teas and pills and sea moss, and we put it all together, and I would take that daily for 30 days. And then in conjunction with that, I would just supplement any water to make sure I was really hydrated. So that's one of the most important things. If you're not eating, you want to make sure at least you're hydrated. Now, there's some really gung-ho people that just go hardcore and they just fast and they don't have any food and they don't have any water. Most of us are dehydrated to begin with, so I wouldn't really recommend you doing any sort of fast that entails you, especially for long periods of time, that you're doing any sort of fast that does not entail having water as part of the regimen. Because simply enough, because we're so dehydrated most of the time, and if we don't have the water that we need, then the problem ends up being is that you can actually do a lot of damage to your internal organs and your body by not having the water that you need. So for me, one of the things, just to recap, if you have access, make sure you have a nutritionist that'll help you out to be able to guide you along to the things that you're doing, because your body will get stressed out over this time. Number 2, make sure that you have a lot of water. Number 3, you're gonna be challenging yourself in more ways than you can imagine. You will be challenging your mind, your body, and your spirit by fasting. You won't know what it is that you're made of until you're in that moment. And here's a little bit of insight. One thing that I learned about this was that between day 5 to day 8 of your fast seems to be the hardest, because that's when you're getting the rumbling and the stomach pains, and that's when you find yourself to be in a place where you could be at your weakest, where you say, oh, I'm gonna give this up, this is not working. But there's something when you push through that edge, this is where you get an amazing amount of self-control. I'm willing to hold back and refrain from eating because there's something on the other side of this thing called fasting that'll give me some sort of enlightenment and better understanding of my body. Even the Bible talks about actually fasting and the pros of fasting in terms of your spirituality, connection to the divine, and all that. So I could tell you simply only from my experience that fasting is something I do regularly. I do intermittent fasting every day. And then once or twice a year, I do the hardcore fasting. I get my nutritionist involved. We get the supplements all listed up. And then we are doing mainly water, and then the teas and the herbs and all that. And then, whatever supplements we will need. And then I just go hardcore. Now, be honest with you, I don't have a time frame. I just trust my body will tell me when I am done. So the first time I did it, I had planned out for a regimen for 30 days, and my body said it's not done yet. So I kept on, and I was about to hit the 60-day, I was in the last week about to hit the 60 days, and then my body, through the meditative process, my body said, I'm done. And so I just listened to it. And if you start learning to listen to your body will tell you when it's time to fast, when it's time to stop, when it's time to connect and regroup, and when it's time to just kind of go back in yourself. And so fasting gives you that access. So when we're talking about wealth of health, the biggest takeaways is learning to understand your gut health and the importance of gut health when it comes to digesting your foods, when it comes to understanding the importance of what you're putting in your body and how to metabolize that food the best. And number 2, the importance of fasting and how fasting can not only liberate you of toxins that are already in your body, but also give you that spiritual and enlightening connection to the divine. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are around fasting and gut health. Don't forget to subscribe below.